Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to our fifth day of the online annual Unicaf Masters Conference. This is the last day of the conference. Today, all the presentations will be from the School of Business. We will wait a few more minutes for everybody to connect to the Zoom. In the meantime, if you want, you can share your countries of residence in the QA section, so that we can see the geographical diversity of Unicaf worldwide. Also for the attendees, just remember that whatever you want, you can contact with us only with the Q&A section. You can write there your comments or your questions. So please use it. Thank you. We will begin shortly. Thank you for sharing your countries. I can see Botswana, Malawi, Uganda, Kenya, Guyana, South Sudan, South Africa, Nigeria. Thank you for joining us. St. Helena Island from South Atlantic, South Africa, Santa Lucia, Lebanon, Zambia, Lesotho, Kenya, Ghana, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Qatar. I see that some attendees raise their hands. Please write your comments on the QA section. We cannot hear you. Jamaica, Congo, Mozambique, thank you for joining UMC. The UMC live session is open for inviting more colleagues and associates, yes. Sudan. Thank you for sharing the countries with us. Okay, I think we can start now officially our session. We will start with Dr. Georgia Saka-Brondi, who is the Dean of the Business School. Dr. Saka will share with us the opening remarks for today. Dr. Saka, the floor is yours.
Dr. Athanasia, thank you very much. Dear beloved colleagues, students, and participants, good morning, and welcome to the final day of the second Unicaf Masters Conference. For those who do not know me or were not able to attend the sessions yesterday, I am the Dean of the Business School here at Unicaf at the federal level. Our school is proud to support more than 20,000 students and offer over 54 programs at both the bachelor's and master's levels. For those interested in pursuing a doctoral degree, we also offer PhDs in business administration through our dedicated doctoral school. Over the past few days, we have explored various significant, interesting, and modern topics and engaged in valuable discussions. I'm confident that you have gained valuable insights. Today, we continue with the same enthusiasm and commitment to learning. And don't forget that there is an award for the best presentation. So for those presenting, give it your best effort. Now let me provide a brief overview of today's sessions. Today we will have sessions 10 and 11. The session 10 is based on HR practices and HR outcomes in today's workplace. Session 11 is based on leadership, strategy, and organizational performance in business. Additionally, we will have the privilege of attending a plenary session presented by Dr. Stratis Eftimiou, a program leader and a tutor here at Unicaf. He will deliver a presentation on a very interesting topic. I am sure you will enjoy it, how HR can help build the organizations of the future. And I will be chairing this session. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to express my sincere thanks to everyone who has contributed to the success of this conference and who will contribute to the success today. The organizers, plenary speakers, session chairs, and presented. Last but not least, you, our students, for your participation. Thank you very much. So let us continue to engage and learn together today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Saka. We will proceed with our first session for the day. Ms. Malvina Yannick will chair this session. Ms. Malvina, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Welcome to the session 10, HR practices and HR outcomes in today's workplace. This session will take approximately an hour and a half. We've got 4 presentations prepared for us, and they will focus on the research concerning respectively employees' loyalty, their well-being, diversity and inclusion, as well as hybrid work model. We are looking forward to hearing all of them. I would like to remind the presenters that the presentation should take maximum 15 minutes, and I will kindly remind you that the time is running out 2 minutes before the end of the time. Next, there's 5 minutes time slot reserved for the Q&A session. And during the session, you will be invited to answer the questions of the audience. So let's start. The first.
Malvina, before starting, just to say that Ms. Batso Growth must accept the invitation to become a panelist so that she will be able to present.
Thank you.
Okay, you can move on. Yeah,
Okay.
sorry about that.
It's okay. So the first presenter for today's session is Mr. Matthias Timothy, our student at the Unicaf University in Malawi. I see he's here with us. You may show yourself on the camera as well. The topic that he'll present is impact of employee compensation and recognition on employee loyalty in Malawi. Okay, I see you're sharing your presentation already. That's great. So the floor is yours and 15 minutes.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Monica, for this time. My name is Matthias Timothy from Malawi, Unicaf University, graduated this year. I will be presenting on the research which I did on the impact of employee compensation and recognition on employee loyalty in Malawi, the case of UMC Consulting.
Matthias, if I can ask you to put the slideshow mode, because now we see the whole presentation, but not in the slideshow mode.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Are you
great.
able to see
Thank
now?
you. Yes,
All
yes,
right,
now
thank
it's
you.
perfect. Thank you.
Yes. So worldwide, loyal employees are significantly required for the survival and competition management in the market. Without committed employees, companies cannot be successful in the market. This research aimed to assess the impact of employee compensation and recognition on employee loyalty at UMC Consulting in Malawi. A study by Angayakana and Showana recommended the need for future studies to focus on deep analysis of each factor that influences the loyalty of employees in an organization. In addition, there is a high staff turnover and lack of staff commitment and UMC, such that managers are unsure of what factors influence staff loyalty. Globally, the greatest concern for companies is employee loyalty. When an employee leaves, it affects the company as well as the employee. Indeed, loyalty affects companies' costs relating to recruitment and training of new recruits. A study by Adedich and Gumande in 2018. The main aim of this research was to assess the impact of employee compensation and recognition on employee loyalty. To what extent do employee compensation and recognition affect employee loyalty? And this study aimed to achieve 3 objectives. 1, to explore the extent at which employee compensation contributes to employee loyalty and why. But also to find out if employers' recognition and appreciation of staff determines employee loyalty. At the same time, it aimed to also identify other determinants of employee loyalty, such that in the study we aim to find out, are there other factors also that can also affect employee loyalty in an organization? Because this study was kind of casual relationship, as such it demanded quantitative measurement of observations. And as a result of that, I adopted correlation research design approach, where quantitative data collection method was used in analyzing the key variables under the study that responded to the research questions and objectives. At the same time, the study utilized random sampling to reach a sample size of 100 employees. That's 50 junior employees, 20 previous employees, and 30 senior employees at UMC Consulting from a population of 115. And I did not manage to reach the entire population because of limitation in time, budget, as well as facilities. In addition, the research used the surveys to collect the data from the targeted respondents. And Stata was used in analyzing the collected data, where it was coded, cleaned, and collected accordingly. And literature was done, and the key literature review that were done. One was according to Angayakana and Showana in 2020. He defined employee compensation as referring to salary allowance, bonus, and other benefits an employee is entitled to in an organization. In 1964, Bloom said that in his expectation theory, he highlighted that employees work in expectation of some rewards, so such that the extent of compensation influences the quality and quantity of work employees offer to the company. Sears and Porter in 1991 explained that employee compensation is the main factor that inspires employee to last long and work hard in an organization. Indeed, motivated employees are bound to stay in an organization with ultimate loyalty. On the other hand, Kabil stated that undercompensated employees can easily leave an organization. Moreover, Hajla and Etao stated that recognition can be used as an instrument to enhance employees' confidence and self-esteem, thereby motivating staff to contribute positively to the goals and objectives of the company for maximum generation. Besides this, Ying and colleague also did the same to say if staff are well compensated, they commit, and that also affects the loyalty. The key findings were that staff that are offered highly competitive compensation, such as salary, allowances, bonuses, insurance, and medical schemes, are fully attached and committed to the organization, such that they would stay longer in an organization. Moreover, findings indicated that recognition of employees has a strong influence on their level of commitment and dedication to the company. Recognizing efforts of staff increases the number of loyal employees in workplace. On contrary, the study reviewed that lack of recognition of employees in a company hinders employees' development, growth, and commitment towards work, and in turn weakens connection with the company and ultimately leads to employee distancing from work. In addition, the findings showed that organizations that value and appreciate the work contribution of the employees towards organization goals and objectives create a positive attitude in the employees to stay longer. This concurred to Magesh and Kirutiga study that he did in 2015. But also, the study revealed that there are other determinants that influence employee loyalty towards an organization. Things like training development, training development, as well as recognition and respect of the staff in an organization. In conclusion, employee compensation significantly impacts on employees' loyalty at UMC Consulting, such that employees that receive competitive compensations such as salary, allowances, bonuses, insurance, and medical schemes will be fully attached and committed to the company. Recognition and appreciation of staff at workplace significantly influences employees' loyalty at UMC Consulting, such that organizations that value and appreciate the work and contributions of employees towards organization goals and objectives create a positive attitude in employees to stay loyal. Needs and expectations of employees from companies have evolved over the past decades. Based on the findings of the study, it can be confidently and statistically concluded that employee compensation and employee recognition significantly impact employees' loyalty at UMC Consulting. Moreover, there are other determinants that affect employee loyalty at an organization, as I've already alluded to in the previous slide. But also, aside that loyalty is determined by employees compensation and recognition, we have also to keep note that there are other things that also determine loyalty and also increase in the high levels in an organization. Things to do with qualifications and also experience that help one to be promoted and also improve on the loyalty of the staff. Thank you so much for your kind attention. That's the end of the presentation. And at the moment, if there are questions, comments, I can attend to them. Over to you, Mawina. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthias, very much for your presentation. If I may ask you, because we don't see you, there's a black screen on your camera. It would be nice to see you during the questions and answers. Maybe you can adjust your camera. We'll give you a second to check it. Maybe it's covered.
Yes, I've tried to, yes, I've switched on my camera, but it seems, I think maybe my connection somewhere.
Okay.
It's really slow. Yes, that's
Okay,
right.
so it's the issue of connection. All right.
Yeah.
So we can carry on and proceed to the questions and answers. So I invite everybody to post your questions in the Q&A section of Zoom. And before some questions from the audience appear, we have the first one. That's a good presentation, thank you. Apart from time and budget limitations, what else were the challenges you experienced? Matthias, you're muted. Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Can I turn to that?
Excuse me?
Can I turn to the question or they'll come
Of
at
course.
once I attend? Okay.
It's time for you to answer, yeah.
Yes, I think the other thing that had also impacted me in collecting the data was there was a devaluation in our country. So I had budgeted for, for the activities to do. The devaluation came, it also affected. That's why there was also a limitation on the targeted responses that I had to reach. Thank you so much for the question.
Great, thank you. Now, based on your research, what are your recommendations for organizations in Malawi looking to balance financial constraints with the need to retain loyal employees?
Thank you so much for your question. The first recommendation that has to be put to such companies, one, they have also to do a cost-benefit analysis when they have to, when they have to consider issues of, balancing up compensation and the staff loyalty, because the value that you get from employees, you have also to provide, you have to reciprocate the kind of, service that you can also offer to such employees to ensure that they are loyal to the company. So one is the cost benefit analysis. What value are you getting from such employees, and see how best you can compensate them. So that's the first thing. Secondly, they have also to consider issues of qualifications, issues of qualification and experience of the staff before they also offer some kind of packages to ensure that staff are loyal to the company.
Great, thank you for this answer. Now, another question. Do we think people are only motivated by money and allowances? How can we change this?
Interesting question. Yeah, of course, it also depends at the stage of the individual, because the man's law, it also depends at what level is that person, because the others, as they're coming in from they just graduated, they want to explore the world, they are motivated by money. So that can't be ruled out. But as you grow, there are others who are motivated by vacations. You give them vacations on the ticket of the company. Or you also, promote them to a certain level or senior management. They are also, motivated by such things, and then they can be loyal to a company. But yes, money is always a motivator to those who are just coming in from the university. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And another question, why did you choose this specific consulting company as your case study?
Thank you so much. As I said, one, I also considered on the applicability of the research to a particular institution, because it had also to have a certain range of respondents that I could reach out to. Because the first one I had, the first company that I wanted to do with a department, government department, so it was kind of limited in terms of how I could reach out to the staff. You know, there are kind of procedures and all that, so it could have affected my also research and also the outcome of that in the period where I was doing my research. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And since you've chosen this specific case study, another question is, what percentage do you feel the findings contribute to the national level of employee satisfaction?
That one, I think I can say over 60%, because sometimes we just overlook the key determinants that influence staff loyalty. Sometimes people can just stay without being loyal, because we talk about commitment in loyalty. So sometimes people can just stay in an organization because they are just getting something that will, you know, keep that will sustain them. But over time, they are not committed. So I think 60% it will contribute to the national interest in relation to loyalty, as well as, you know, understanding the key determinants that influence employee loyalty to an organization. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Another question, pretty interesting one. There are staff that leave the company and join another company for lesser pay. Did your research consider this factor?
Thank you so much for the question, and that was the first thing that we were also asking, you know, the respondents to say, because I reached out to those who had left. So why did you leave? They say, okay, I found a good paying job, that's why I left. But others will say, okay, I need also to start my own, you know, enterprise as entrepreneurs to bring something on the table, supporting the national interest. So those were some of the reasons, but you know, others were vying for jobs that were paying off better than the previous job. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question. I know that leadership styles, transformational, transactional, etc., will significantly influence the connection between loyalty and compensation. Did you discover this in your research?
I think that one, thank you for the question. I think that one, if they are, we did not consider that one in terms of leadership, but perhaps someone can also extend my research to say, does leadership also influence someone's loyalty to a company? Because I had only two factors that I was considering, as well as other determinants which I had noted out. So thank you for the question. I think can be an area where someone also can take this research to another level. Thank you.
Great. And what role does incentive scheme play in motivating employees?
Definitely, incentives play a crucial role in motivating employees, because if people are only relying on the salary that they get, with the way things are, global economy, things have changed, inflation there and there, so only relying on the salary as a package that one gets, I think it also affects the loyalty and commitment. But if there are also other incentives to say, the more jobs you bring on the table, the more you contribute to the revenue generation of the company, as well as the profits, then I think such kind of incentives can also help one to remain loyal to a company, aside, you know, the other factors. Thank you.
Great. And the last question that I think will be a good sum up, between compensation and recognition, which one sounds the best in terms of gaining loyalty and commitment?
Thank you so much. Yes, quite interesting, but it's tough compensation.
Great. Quick and concrete answer. Thank you very much, Matthias, for your presentation and for all the answers provided. So let's continue. And our next speaker will be Patsho Pamela Groth, our student at the University of Suffolk. So Patsho, if we could see you, you can turn on your camera now and prepare to share your slides. Patsho prepared for us the presentation called...
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. You prepared for us the presentation, The Dividends of Diversity and Inclusion, an analysis of the challenges women face and the financial and corporate cultural outcomes when companies prioritize initiatives to expedite women in leadership. Right? Okay.
So if I share, can I share?
Of course, you can press the green button, share screen,
Is
and
it
we'll see your
sharing?
presentation. Not yet. You need to choose the window that you want to share.
Application I've chosen. Is it there?
No, not yet. If you've chosen the window that you want to share, you need to press OK or the blue button.
Oh, share. Here we go. Okay, can everybody see it?
Yes, but if you could put it in your
I'm going to
slide
put
mode.
it on slide mode. Slideshow. Okay, so is everybody there?
Yes, great. Now we can see your slide and we can see you as well. All right,
I'm
so
sorry
the floor is
I
yours.
think I'm going through menopause, and also we've got 37 degrees in Botswana. But
sorry for you.
yeah.
Okay, you may proceed.
Okay, I've got 15 minutes. So what I wanted to do, people were like, why are you doing this? And because I'm turning 60 next year. And they were like, why are you studying? And then COVID hit, and I was chair of 25 billion company. And so I decided to do this MBA through Unicaf, and it was like, why? Okay. So it was about experiences as a leader. So I'm going to really rush through my slides because I've only got 15 minutes. But if anybody wants to call me, please do. Okay. But what I've noticed that women have always aspired to be leaders, and it's been difficult. So I'm not going to go through the detail of all my slides. You're right. Okay. But research shows that there are subtle biases against women. And honestly, men, I hope you're out there. I'm not a women's leader or what. But I did this to understand for myself. Okay. And if you look at the fourth bullet, one of the major challenges for women is work to family conflict. And I'm not going to go through the research thingies. Gender-based behaviors, gender inequality, social networks, which are different for men and women, and lack of opportunities for women to advance. Okay, this is research. If you want the references, contact me. I'm not going to go through them today. So the aims were, I wanted to understand multidimensional challenges that women face to progress to leadership and provide an argument, because let's use Zanzibar for an example, who's a woman president. There's evidence that women as leaders, countries do better, okay? So we know that globally, women have been advancing, okay, educationally, etc. But why are we not moving to leadership? And I'll use an example. I sit on a board of a bank, and our female profile is 60-40, but our men are the major leaders. There's a problem. So that's why I did this. I'm going to move on. There are theories. I got a merit in my MBA, so I had to show that I studied. So there are different theories. Social identity, men, women identify differently. Similarity, if you're a woman, you identify with a woman. If you're a man, you identify with a man. Expectation, this is the one I hate, is that women are not as effective as men, okay? But there's a theory on it. Threat, and please, I need to state again, I'm not a woman's libber. I believe just in following things. Threat, rigidity theory, men are threatened by women if they come into position. Attribution, women get their jobs because of luck, not because of their expertise. And I remember crying to one of my bosses saying, my friend, they think I got this job as assistant general manager because I slept with you. Okay, so it's real. Backlash, if you're a woman and you're too effective, then et cetera, et cetera. I'm really going to try and go through this. All boys club. You can go to the bar or the club in the evening as a man. That's where you make deals. But women cannot do that because they have to go back to their children. And then the reality is the glass ceiling. It's there. Okay. And I'm actually scared of what I'm going to get back. But anyway, women participation, the slide shows there is a glass ceiling. Okay. Moving on, 75% shows that women have what we call double burden, double bind. So you want to progress, but you also have to look after your old parents, your children, etc. And I know the advance of the laptop was my savior. Okay, so I'm moving on. I'm a bit passionate about this. So there are certain barriers that create D&I, okay? And that's why my theory was there. Even though we've achieved equal education and standards as men, we don't get to progress to leadership like men, okay? Other barriers, the way of work. Men, I remember, sorry, it's very hot and I'm experiencing. I remember being at a thing when I moved to First National Bank and we were there in the evening doing nothing. And it was because we had to be seen to be there at night, okay? And finally, operational processes, men, women, I'm going to combine us all. We don't see that there's a problem. So anyway, and then there's traits. I know my brother once said to me, you will never get married. And I'm like, what? He said, you're such a dominant what. So if you're a woman and you express traits, you're seen to be dominant and irritable. So we have to be almost, I don't know how to put it in English, subversive. I'm just looking at the time I've gone through. And then if you express traits, men traits, let's put it like that, then you seem to be, I don't know, masculine, okay? So because of these traits, because women are seen to be softer, they're seen to be riskier. So they don't want to put women in senior positions, okay? And unfortunately, and I went through that, the queen bee, where women are threatened by other women. So we actually kill ourselves, you know? And then there's a glass cliff, which is where we take on things which we know we may even fail, you know? So I've talked about double bind, sexual harassment is true. If there are women out there, you know, and we've seen it with, sorry, I don't know if you're a Republican, but Donald Trump, you almost have to just be harassed. I don't know how to say in English, in order to get forward. And I have been harassed. I have. So these are things that just made me mad. Okay. So there are different policies, different people you can read. But when it comes to mentoring, they kind of mentor women to say, oh, find your potential. But men, they're given access to the deals. That's the difference. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the screen at the same time. Things like paternity leave. If we could give men more time to be with their kids, then it would free women to grow into leadership. And there's so many spreadsheets, I don't know what to do. But this slide is really important, is that research-wise has shown that adding women into leadership can add $28 trillion. Not Naira, not Bula, not Rands, dollars to the economy. So it makes business sense for leaders to look at bringing in leaders, women. And this is why I did this. I guess you can see this. Catalyst have also found that Fortune 500 companies, where there's a woman leader, there's profitability, you know. Women tend to adopt transformational leadership, which is about transforming, whereas men tend to adopt transactional leaders about money. Okay, so it makes sense. We base on decisions. It's more emotional, and it's not about, like I said, I've led a company and still leading companies. It's not about money. It's about how to get the money. Stakeholders and ethics research has shown that if you have a female leader, she focuses on ethics compared to men, you know. So it kind of comes out as men against women, but it's not that. It's seeing that women can be great leaders. I mean, they didn't vote Kamala for whatever reason, but women can be great leaders. And the different things that companies are doing and why: retaining our existing talent, improving business outcomes, attracting, sorry, people are contacting me, addressing future talent. And there's a reason why this works. And I'm really absolutely interested. Oh, it's my last slide. Getting
Just 2 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Let's take the baby boomers, those of you who are in HR. They're not prepared to take what we gave them, what we took a couple of years ago. They want bigger things, both boys and girls. And we're just as capable, and I'm just going to end there because I tend to be a little bit ferocious. So sorry. I'm done.
Okay, so that's the way you conclude. All right. I'm asking you to restart your video now with the, I don't know if you can see the button. Yeah. Great. You may stop sharing your screen so we can see only you, and we're gonna proceed to the questions.
Okay, let me try and find it, but carry on.
Great. Okay. So the questions that we have for now. What happens when women are given the same jobs as men in leadership in terms of decision making? Does the performance differ?
No.
Short answer.
No. No.
Great.
No.
Another question. Is it possible that because women have to nurture their family, that's why they are not given opportunities? What if a mindset is put out where everyone is truly equal?
That's what they call the double burden. And if people dig deep within themselves, I can only use myself as an example. The woman tends to be the one who deals with the family issues. And that is a problem. But I'm sorry, women are as equal leaders as men.
Great, thank you for your answer. Especially in African context, with more women than men, especially in leadership, do women get fair share in positions of power and leadership?
No, they don't. I sit on a board where in the banking industry, and the profile is 60-40, so 60% women, 40% men. But what happens is when you get higher up to they call it the C-suite, then they tend to take the men, despite the fact that the women can do the job. And whether it's Africa, that's my research. I wanted to specify within Botswana, that's where I'm from, but we didn't have enough data. It's Africa, Europe, America, whatever, men. Yeah, okay.
Great,
it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter.
You mentioned the glass cliff in your presentation. Could you expand on this concept?
Glass cliff is where, as women, we're given an opportunity, so we take it. No, despite the fact that maybe we will fail. And, that was one of my struggles with academia, is that I couldn't put real life situations, but I'll use myself. Our chairman, for whatever reason, was a man. Something happened, and then there was two of us, an accountant and me. I'm an HR person. And they needed a chair. I said, guys, I'm not an accountant. 25 billion, I can't chair this. And they were like, no, it's fine. We've got a bevy of accountants. That was the word they used. But I could have glass cliffed myself. I took the job. But if things had gone wrong, I was going to be accused because I was a woman, not because of whatever. Because I was a woman. And I was the first Black woman listed on our stock exchange. But if I had failed, you can understand what the discussion would have been. And it's tough. It's tough. So it's tougher for women. We have to work. Any woman out there will tell you, you need to work 6 hours more than a man. you can't go to the social things. So you have to be extra efficient. And that's what the Glass Cliff is about.
All right. Thank you for your answer.
Mm.
And I think the last one, because this is all we'll have time for. Is it more important to focus on fostering gender equality in the broader corporate environment?
I think so. I think so. I have 2 boys, so I know the boys' side. But I have a lot of nieces, and I think it has to be a balance. I think what's happening in the world right now, or Botswana, we're leaving the boys behind, which is not good. So I think it has to be a balance. And my thesis in my abstract, I said, I want business people to use this to incorporate balance. I don't want girls, boys. I'm not like that. It must be balance. Yeah.
Great.
You.
Thank you very much, Batsho, for all the answers and for your
Can
presentation.
I just correct you? I like to correct. You don't pronounce the H in my name.
Okay, you can tell me how is the good pronunciation, then I will know for the next time. There are some more questions in the Q&A box, so you may click on the box and type the answers yourself, and we're gonna carry on and proceed to the last presentation. Thank you very much again. So lastly, let's welcome our last presenter and speaker, Bernard Kwesi Akati. Do we have Bernard with us? Yes, we have. He's already starting to share the screen. That's great.
Yeah.
Yes, now we can see all the files. We cannot see the presentation. So Bernard is going to show us the presentation, Impact of Hybrid Work Arrangements on Employee Productivity, a secondary study of the information technology industry. Okay, now we can see the presentation, but if you could make it in a slideshow, perfect. Okay, Bernard, the floor is yours. You've got 15 minutes.
All right, thank you very much, and greetings from Ghana.
Excuse me, you may also open your camera if you want us to see it.
Okay, I saw the camera was interacting with the presentation whilst the other presenter was doing her presentation. So permit me now to put it away, and then when we get to the Q&A session, I'll be able to put on my camera.
No problem.
All right. So greetings first of all, to our distinguished chair and panelists and my co-presenters, and then also to your cherished participants. Yeah, so basically today, I'm going to share with you my research on the impact of hybrid work arrangements on employee productivity. So this is basically a desktop review focusing on the information technology industry. So first of all, I'd like to take you through what the structure or the outline of this presentation will look like. I'm going to talk about the introduction, the project aim and objectives. We'll go into the methodology that was used to formulate this research. And then also we'll talk about the literature review, the findings and discussions, and then we'll conclude. You also have available the reference list on the slides, and then there will also be an opportunity for questions and answers. So this is basically the structure of my presentation for today. So moving forward, so we've some of us, because of COVID, we did hear about hybrid work model or remote work model. These are variants of flexible working designs, you know. So first of all, it started as what we call teleworking, and it gained attention in the US because of traffic congestion and pollution control strategies, cost-cutting strategies by organizations to save on their office spaces. And then this also was used as a tool to attract and retain top talents within a very competitive marketplace. And then also this was sparked up or sped up by technological advancement, without which you cannot have hybrid work model, or hybrid work model will not be able to perform at its optimal peak without technological advancement. So technological advancement was an inflection point from which hybrid work models or flexible work models like compressed work week, like remote working, and then other variants of flexible working arrangements started to pick up because of technological advancement. Now, 2020 and beyond, we saw a different story where businesses must thrive, businesses must survive. Businesses were closed down because of the pandemic. And because of that, because of the severity of the pandemic, we had a hybrid work model taking center stage in the world. Now, the question is that, why is technological giants like Google, like Zoom, Meta, and quite recently Amazon, why are they changing directions now? You know, that's the biggest question we need to ask ourselves. And this research is supposed to support that, support the answer to those questions. And then we can be able to unravel why the big giants who are supposed to rather, support this particular working model are rather retreating. Perhaps it could be the fact that culturally we are used to conventional ways of working. We'll get to see the answers as we go along.
Bernard, sorry for interrupting. We can see your presenter view right now. If we could go back to the presentation view so we can only see the current slides, please.
All right, I will do that.
Okay, we can still see your notes.
All right, is that okay?
Yes, now it's fine. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
All right, good. And thank you for that. So now the project aim and objective is to investigate the impact of hybrid work arrangements on employee productivity, focusing on IT industry. That's the information and technology industry. However, we also sought to investigate some distal and proximal outcomes of hybrid work model. Proximal outcomes like well-being and employee work-life balance, and then distal attributes like job satisfaction and also employee retention. So, and we also looked at the historical adoption and implementation of hybrid work model. How has it done over the years post the pandemic? What was it before the pandemic, and what is it now? We will seek to investigate that. And then also this, like I've mentioned earlier in my presentation, this is the desktop study of primary data. So it's more or less like a meta-analysis of what the research is telling us. Then we'll also assess the impact of hybrid work on employee work-life balance, job satisfaction and retention, and then provide insights and recommendations on optimization of hybrid work design. So moving forward, the methodology that was used was a mixed method approach because of the complex nature of the variables involved. And then also I used descriptive statistics. That is to say that the quantitative aspect of the analysis was based on descriptive statistics, and then also thematic analysis for the qualitative aspect. And this was merely a secondary analysis or a desktop review of the literature. Excel was the main tool that was used to collate the data and also to chart the data. And then also, as you are aware, the ethical considerations of your research is hinged, especially for secondary research, is hinged largely on the primary research that you used. So if the primary research is violating any confidentiality issues, what it means is that you are going to build your research on that, which was not what we sought to do in this research. So we adopted the strictest of ethical consideration in this research. Moving forward, so now the literature review, what is it saying? So basically, we would like to give ourselves some understanding of what hybrid work model is. So hybrid work model basically is working remotely for a few days and on site on the other days. So you choose to work one day off-site and then the rest of the days, which is the 4 days in the week. If you are in the compressed work week method and you are still using hybrid, then it means that you have 2 days working off-site and maybe 2 days working on-site. So basically, employee productivity is a reflection of an employee efficiency level. And what is efficiency? Efficiency is basically the ratio of your output and then your input. So basically, in simple man's language, the time that it takes to perform a specific task is what we term as your productivity. So an employee has his productivity, which fits into the productivity of the team. It also fits into the productivity of the organization, the function, and then the country as a whole. So as an employee, even though you are a single unit, you have a significant role to play in the productivity of even the nation that you live in. Then we look at what the IT industry consists of. So it's the main manufacturing hub for manufacturing of computers, servicing of computers, network, hardware, web design, telecommunication, and semiconductors. So broadly speaking, this is what the IT industry consists of. Then we look at the literature with an eagle eye. And when we searched through the literature, what we realized was that there was a significant empirical evidence that existed to support the positive correlation between hybrid work model and employee productivity. So the researchers are there. There are many more that will be listed as a reference. You can take a look at them as we move along. All right. So now here we go with the findings and discussions. So now, when we sought to dive into the objective of this research, historical adoption and implementation, there was a sharp increase in the adoption of hybrid work model. And we all know it was because of the pandemic. But now what is happening after the pandemic is probably an area that requires more research. So pre-pandemic, we saw 27% of the articles. So the population of the articles that we selected to analyze, 27% of them were for pre-pandemic. We're talking about pre-pandemic impact of hybrid work on productivity. And a whooping 73% was talking about impact of hybrid work on productivity. So you can see that there was a very high interest in this area for all the stakeholders, including researchers, policymakers, even governments and regulators. So in the UK now, they are promulgating a law regarding flexible work arrangements. So that represents a 46% rise in adoption rate per the data analyzed. And this is in line with the research by Gallup report. So actually Gallup projected a steady increase in the adoption of hybrid work models. So now, what is the data telling us about the impact of hybrid work model on proximal outcomes like work-life balance? So there was a relationship, and it is a positive relationship that shows that if employees are working on a hybrid model, their work balance, they can attend to the bank, they can attend to personal life issues and all that. So because of that, there's a certain balance and interaction in their work-life balance that gives them some flexibility and autonomy to do the things that they do. And then it also brings about job satisfaction. There is also a favorable relationship between hybrid work model and job satisfaction. That is what the data is telling us. And then also employee retention is also high. So now, how does all these come together? How do they come together? Remember that hybrid work model gives employee flexibility and autonomy. And once they have flexibility and autonomy, it means that they can send their case to the hospital and quickly come back and still achieve their work aims and objectives for the day, okay? So that means that the employee's life is balanced. Also, when an employee life is balanced, what happens? He will be satisfied on the job. And when an employee is satisfied on the job, what does it mean? It means that the employee is going to stay longer in the role. And when an employee stays longer in the role, what happens? It means that he gathers more competence, he understands the capabilities of his organization, he builds more knowledge and skills, And then when he builds more knowledge and skill, what happens? It means that he's going to be productive in their work life. He's going to be productive within the organization. He's going to be productive in the team. He's going to churn out more work, and his performance over a certain period is going to improve. Now, the crux of the matter is that our objective mainly was to find the relationship that existed between hybrid work design and employee productivity within the IT industry. So the research that we did really told us, or really pointed to the fact that these are supported. So during the pre-pandemic or before the pandemic, there were some research articles that spoke to this, that supported and gave credence to the fact that hybrid work models really yields employee productivity or improves employee productivity. And then also the data that was also analyzed during and after the pandemic also supported the evidence that hybrid work model really improves productivity or boosts the productivity by 12%. And this is good news for leaders. This is good news for the employees as well, who are seeking to convince their leadership to adopt this work model. All right, now, what's the recommendations? So the recommendations here are that organizations must embrace and adopt hybrid work designs based on its positive outcomes. Leaders within business must be equipped to effectively lead in hybrid work models. We know our leaders are used. They've worked several years within the conventional working space. And for that reason, yes.
Excuse me, just to let you know, 2 minutes left.
All right, so I'll move fast. So we have to build and sustain technological infrastructure within this model. Organizational support in terms of well-being and making sure that the physical space that the employee will work in is adequate is also to be improved. Employees must be given required autonomy and flexibility to perform their work. All right, what's the organizational impact? More productive employees leading to productivity improvements. Targeted leadership development approach in managing hybrid workforce. High workforce retention rates for the business. Opportunity to optimize overall impact of hybrid work model for organizational effectiveness. Now, further research. The further research that I encourage in this discourse is that the intensity of hybrid work design that will yield the utmost benefits is worth investigating into. And then industry-specific research, for example, hybrid work model in the mining industry, energy is also encouraged. Right, so this brings us to the end. I have just citations. You can refer to these references. And now I think over to our cherished panelists.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bernard, for the excellent presentation, very interesting one. And now we can proceed to the questions. So the first question, how does one differentiate between ordinary shift work and a hybrid work model? If you could sum up in 2 sentences, what is the difference?
All right. So I'm sure my camera is up now.
Yes.
All right. Although I cannot see myself, but I'll proceed. All right.
We can see it.
So the difference between ordinary shift work and hybrid work model is different. Even though hybrid work model is not suitable for every role, it's not suitable for every organization. So depending on the organization, so for example, if you are working in the factory requires your presence in the factory to manufacture a certain product or a certain good. So what happens is that in that factory, they will institute a working model that requires you to attend a shift. So attending a shift is not the same as hybrid work model, even though probably you can look at it in the lens of a flexible work arrangement, but it is not. It is the conventional way of working. So that is basically the difference between a hybrid work model and then the normal shift work.
Thank you very much. And another question, was there a target group who was most agreeable with hybrid work? For example, age group?
Well, So in terms of age group, you cannot actually classify a certain age group to say that they are suitable for hybrid work model. But however, during the research, I did notice one important statement that was made that, you know, there is a theory that we call the value theory. And you all know that there are some categories or some age groups that grew up predominantly within the conventional working model. So based on the value theory, it means that they value the presence of their colleagues more than working in an isolated environment within their houses. So those people will prefer to work in the conventional office rather than working within the hybrid model. So in that sense, you can say that older people, based on the value theory, would prefer to work in the office because that is where they get to meet their colleagues. That is where they share and interact more. And because of the social theory as well, their work life is balanced when they are in the office because they get happiness more in the office. Yeah.
Thank you. And could you share some thoughts on why big companies like Amazon and Google are so amended to call the employees back to the office after the pandemic?
Well, my thoughts could be wrong, but I believe that, as I've already mentioned, the value theory, many people grew up in the conventional, or many top leaders, as we see them now, grew up in the conventional way of working. So they are used to it. And I believe that even though they may have seen the data that is supporting the productivity increase or productivity levels of the hybrid work model, probably because of what they value interactions, and they think that when people are in the office, that is when they produce more. But that could be wrong, you know. So probably they are looking at the wrong places, you know, or maybe they look at their organizational performance in terms of their organizational productivity, or maybe their financials, and they see some metrics that are not favoring the kind of work model they are adopting now. So that is why probably they are calling their workers back to the office. But they could have their own reasons.
Yeah. Okay, I understand their assumptions. Thank you very much. And in terms of compensation, how will companies determine and compensate their employees based on hours spent working? I guess this is the matter of how will they check how much did they work while being at home?
All right. So remember that one of the tenets of hybrid work model is not the work that you are doing, but the purpose of the work. What is the objective of the work? Are you able to meet your objective? So it's not the time that you spend on the objective of the work or producing your objective. So based on that, you cannot measure the person with timing. And quite recently, I've read some articles on the internet, okay, though the internet may not be a reliable source to refer to at this point, that there were some organizations that put softwares in the conferencing tools of their employees to check their working hours. That was illegal, and some countries have actually banned that and called those organizations to book. So it's not about the hours that you work, but it's about the purpose of the job. What did you achieve? That is what the hybrid work model seek to put across.
Mm-hmm. Or the task trafficking as well, I guess, the softwares that target the tasks.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, this is all we had the time for. There are some more questions in the Q&A box, so if you could please go there and answer them just now. And thank you so much, Bernard, for the presentation, for all the answers that you provided. We are concluding the session, and I'm giving the floor back to Dr. Cavadia. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for joining this session. Thank you, Ms. Yannick, for chairing the session. We will move forward to our first plenary presentation. Dr. Saka Brondi will chair the session. Dr. Saka, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Athanasia. So we will proceed now with the plenary presentation. The title of this presentation is How Can HR Help Build the Organization of the Future? This will be presented by Dr. Stradis Efthymiou, and let me give you a brief about Dr. Stradis. Dr. Stradis Efthymiou is an academic and consultant with over 13 years of experience in business, leadership, and HR across the UK and Europe. He has led MSCs and MBA programs in leadership and HR, managed the revalidation of doctoral programs, and contributed to the MBA revalidations with MBA. His consultancy work includes advising global police academies and working with the Cyprus Minister of Defense on HR and motivation initiatives. He has also contributed to international security reforms with recommendations presented to the UN, including in support of the Crans-Montana Cyprus peace negotiations for resolution to the Cyprus problem in 2017. His research focuses on leadership and organizational transformation. So, Dr. Stradis, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. Good. Let me upload my slides. So my presentation is going to be on how HR can help build the organization of the future. So how can HR help organizations prepare for what is going to follow, both in the immediate but also in the long-term future? And a lot of the things that I will be discussing come from my own consultancy experience. So to brag a little bit about myself. I have done a lot of work with militaries on reforming their HR policies and in helping them prepare for future organizational challenges. So I have advised both governmental and non-governmental organizations in that regard in how to bring strategic change. For example, I was an advisor for the Cyprus Minister of Defense because Cyprus has faced a lot of issues with low motivation in the army, which is called draft evasion. So people wanting to leave the army and not serve military service. And in Greek, that's called philostratia. And so I developed an 80-page report in that regard that redesigned the HR policy of the army and which led to significant changes. I'll just click here which led to significant changes. And it increased soldier motivation and retention. And now the army offers the opportunity for soldiers, in between many other, to study at university online through the military barracks. And another experience I've been drawing on for my presentation today is that Cyprus, as some of you might know already, is a divided country, and there has been a series of UN-led negotiations over the last 50 years. And the last one was in 2017, which took place in Crans-Montana in Switzerland. And I was one of the 6 advisors that were commissioned to design how the social, political, and military landscapes will look like after a potential reunification, because the negotiations were very promising, and there was a chance that within a few months, the 2 sides of Cyprus would have unified into one. And I was given the responsibility to design how the 6 armies, because in Cyprus currently there are 6 stationed armies. So I was given the responsibility to design how the 6 armies can come into a single force and transform into a force that will serve peace and reconciliation when Cyprus will have become a federation. And that was from an HRM perspective, human resource management perspective. So among policies I designed were on fairness and anti-discrimination between Greek and Turkish Cypriot officers in terms of rewards and promotions, but most importantly, how an ethnically inclusive organizational culture could actually be created. And I presented this to political leaders, such as the special advisor of the UN Secretary on Cyprus, which at that time was Mr. Espen Espen and Bart Eiden. And in the context of Peace Talks, the findings of my project were also presented to the UN Security Council in New York. But then Cyprus was not united, and they just put my recommendations in a shelf somewhere, in a drawer somewhere, and they forgot about it. Okay, so let's start with our presentation. So today, so to begin with, I mean, when I say the word HR, when I say the term HR, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What are the first things that come to your mind when you hear the word HR? You know, most people would think of bureaucracy and paperwork and a department that always sides with the employer, not the employee. And the truth is that over the years, HR, which is a very recent type of specialization discipline, I mean, it's only like since the 80s, if you think about it. And as an academic discipline, it's a very recent academic discipline. HR has gotten a bad name for itself. HR essentially has a reputation problem today. But this perception is changing. So HR has the potential to play a transformative role in organizations. And it's time that we rethink what HR can truly do and how can help organizations prepare for what is to come. And this is what my presentation today will be about. So, but before we move to the future, let's take it a little bit from the beginning. So what is HR? I mean, we hear about HR all of the time, and for us that work, I mean, there is an HR department in every or officer in every organization, depending on its size. So HR traditionally is responsible for finding, recruiting, and training employees, but it's strategy. So the bigger vision is that HR should have a seat at the strategy table, and this will be my argument today. So using insights about the workplace, HR can help drive organizational success, and to a very big extent. And this shift will allow HR to contribute to strategy formulation and not only strategy execution in that regard. So now let's bring into our minds for a second a vision of the future. So imagine an organization where everyone in every department can propose ideas, can suggest things that they think can work better, whether they have a very strategic function within the organization, or whether they work at the accounting department or at the maintenance department. Imagine an organization where every employee across the organization can actually be given the opportunity to use the creativity and problem solving, because every person can problem solve, every person has ideas for what, in terms of what can actually in how we can improve in a certain way. I mean, that is a human ability, and it's not something that that only some people have. So imagine an organization where leadership actually fosters innovation and empowers employees and makes, and then the leader to propose their ideas, and then leadership is there only to make those key strategic decisions at the end. So imagine an organization where there is no more top-down control. And why will this matter? This matters today even more than ever, because we live in an era of such a rapid technological change. And things are changing so much because of the development of technology, because of the fast development of technology, where organizations will have to keep adapting very quickly to changes that happen in their external environment, because of the rapid technology development. And essentially, the shift that we're experiencing at the moment is from what the internet can do for us to what artificial intelligence can do for us. And I said that again, is from what the internet can do for us to what artificial intelligence can do for us. And if you think about it, we're going to shift from Google it to AI it. So from Google it to AI it. So it's this change that currently we are going through. And AI is here to stay for good and is here to transform our lives in so many different ways. In the very same way that the internet about 25 years ago just seemingly appeared out of nowhere. It changed the ways that we socialize, the ways that we work, but in many ways, the ways that we think, if you think about it, this transformation of this scale and even more perhaps is going to take place yet one more time now, and we will be here to witness this. So organizations must be agile and ready to adapt not only to market demands, but also to technological and societal transformations in that regard. And the big question is, why aren't we empowering HR to help lead this change? And how can we build organizations that are truly ready for the future? Essentially, in most industries, organizations are the people that they employ, perhaps less in the manufacturing industry, but as an example, but in most industries, essentially, it's the people that make the organization. I mean, the better talent you can recruit, the more you can retain it, the better chances the organization has to do very well. So organizations, to the largest extent, they are the human capital that they employ. Now, what are the current challenges that HR is facing? So the first one is the resistance to change and technology integration. So many HR departments still use outdated systems, and they are slow to adopt new technologies like AI and data analytics. And this makes it hard for HR to make data-driven decisions. So many HR departments still use outdated systems and are slow to adopt to new technologies like artificial intelligence and data analytics. And this makes it hard for HR to make essentially data-driven decisions and improve efficiency in that regard. And to stay relevant, HR must embrace modern technology and update its processes. And then there is the talent gap, which is very important today. So organizations struggle to find and retain top talent. And this is for a number of reasons. And the most important reason is that especially in developed economies, the days are gone when people will stay with the same organization for 20, 30, 40 years, and they will experience this lifelong commitment to the organization. And today, I mean, it's just so easy to change job, especially if you live in a big metropolitan city. I mean, you can change job every year if you want to. And often the people that will do well, especially in some industries, is people that change jobs often. So in that regard, there's a lot of competition, not only for jobs, but there's a lot of competition for employees on the part of the employers. And it's one thing to recruit the right talent, but it's another to also retain it, to also keep it. Also, HR needs to think about its recruitment development strategies to close the skill gap in that regard and to build a workforce that is actually ready for the future. In terms of employee engagement and retention, and as I said, so there tend to be high employee turnover rates today, but low engagement, and these remain key challenges for the HR, which must focus on creating a more positive work culture, where employees feel valued and connected to organizational goals in a different way that it did before. And often this has to do with offering a number of benefits, not just salary, but a number of benefits to the employees. And I think the most important step, as the most important one as a first step, is actually managing to align HR with organizational strategy. It's often seen as a support function rather than as a strategic partner. And to help drive success, HR must actually play a role in shaping and executing organizations' long-term goals. So overall, HR needs to overcome these challenges in order to be able to become a strategic partner. And by addressing them, HR can actually help organizations to adapt, to grow, and succeed in the future.
Dr. Stradis, I'm sorry for interrupting. It's just that to let you know that you
Now,
have five more. Can you hear me? You have just 5 more minutes, and in order to have time also for the questions. Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So to achieve this, we need to adopt an HRM thinking. So a type of thinking where it's so much about bringing the best out of employees and seeing them as human capital and talent, and not just as resources. Since I have just a little bit of time, I'm going to rush through it. So perhaps the most key part of my pass through is that the key role of technology. So AI is here to change our lives, and AI can change HR by enabling more data-driven decision making, improving efficiency, and driving strategic change. So how AI can transform HR? It can help by automating administrative tasks like resume screening and employee onboarding. It can actually help to predict turnover and employee performance using data analytics. And it can enhance recruitment by using AI-powered tools to identify top candidates. Another key part is real-time culture check, which only AI can, in my view, do so well. So what is real-time culture check, which can actually become a policy, is that it can allow HR to assess and adapt the company culture on an ongoing basis. So for example, as you are working on your computer, a survey can pop up and be like, and ask you 3 questions, but very simple questions. They will only take like 3 seconds to reply to. For example, do you feel stressed? Do you feel hopeful? Are you looking forward to lunch? And then you can just like really quickly answer them. And then what they can do is they can actually use the insights to adapt. It's about encouraging continuous feedback and this culture of continuous feedback that can shape a organizational culture, work culture. And then AI is not just about transforming business processes, but also about enhancing employee well-being. So the IT can monitor employee well-being through smart AI can monitor employee well-being through smart tools that track mental and physical health. And then it can provide personalized well-being programs based on data analytics. And very importantly, what AI can do, it can improve work-life balance by optimizing scheduling and workload distribution. So as I was saying, AI can automate repetitive tasks like resume screening, initial candidate assessment, and performance tracking. And it also allows HR professionals in that respect to make more data-driven decisions regarding talent management, employee satisfaction, and workforce planning. For example, AI-powered tools like HireView can use machine learning to assess video interviews. So, for example, you conduct an interview with a candidate and you record it, and then language, facial expressions to help HR teams better evaluate candidates. And I know that this sounds a little bit creepy, but we have to understand that these are tools that we can use only as one tool. So that AI will produce a report on that. And then that will only take one part in terms of the decision-making process. But AI can do so much more. So for example, in terms of advanced data analytics in HR, It can be used to predict employee turnover, and predicting employee turnover today when there are such high turnover rates is just so important. And data analytics, HR departments can help organizations make better decisions, enhance employee engagement, and create healthier work environments if they want to take on the opportunity. I don't know if I have any more time to go through more, or
Let's give
and
3-4 more minutes. Is it okay for you to conclude?
okay.
Excellent.
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
that's fine. That's fine. Thank you so much. But what are the challenges in terms of making this happen? So HR itself is facing a number of issues in adapting into the future. So the first one is the lack of strategic involvement in organizations. If you think about it, most often HR departments, I mean, if we are to be very honest, they're quite sidelined in organizations. And you can even see it in terms of where the HR department would be located in an organization. Very often they wouldn't be like at the highest levels in terms of the floors, or they wouldn't be like in the best type of, usually it would be a little bit hidden somewhere. So HR is still often viewed more as a support function rather than a key driver for business success. And many organizations still treat it more as a personnel department, focusing primarily on administrative tasks rather than helping to form strategic goals. Another one is the resistance to technological change, and perhaps that's the most key one, or it's becoming one of the most key challenges for HR. So HR departments are often slow to embrace new technologies like AI, data analytics, and automation. Often the reason for this is all of the data protection policies and work ethics, and often it makes HR professionals a little bit hesitant to expose themselves to new technologies. Another one is that often HR operates in isolation from other departments, which leads to a lack of collaboration and misalignment with broader company goals. And there are important skill gaps in HR teams today for sure. So the traditional HR skill set often doesn't include expertise in areas like data analytics, machine learning, or change management. And I just wanted to say a little bit also. So how can HR start transforming today? I have come up with 6 ways, and I can also share my slides with you later. Just to focus on a few. Perhaps I will say that we need to invest a lot in HR training and development. So we need to focus on upscaling HR professionals in areas like data analysis, change management is very key for HR today, and technology to prepare them for future challenges. Also, we need to reflect a lot on fostering a culture of collaboration and flexibility. So break down silos between HR and other departments and organizations, and encourage cross-functional teams and promote a collaborative environment to solve organizational challenges. And as the last thing, visualizing the future of HR. HR should become a strategic partner. HR, perhaps the head of HR should have a chair at the policy table, at the strategy table of an organization, increase the use of technology, employee well-being and personalization. And diversity and inclusion should become more of the norm, more of the given, and less of something that HR needs to strive towards in organization. I'll leave it here. I know there are other things. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stradis. This is actually a very interesting topic and also very big in order to be able to capture it with just one presentation, a short presentation, let me say. So we will proceed now with some questions we have received from our participants. The first one is related to resistance to change. So, in your opinion, would you rule out that change and management of change in an organization should be fully HR's responsibility? And this responsibility should be in alignment with the organizational strategy overall?
That's a very good question. So I think that change within an organization is always just such a difficult thing, and these links very much to a very core. I mean, from a psychological perspective, it links very much to a core human fear, which is the fear of the unknown, because change always essentially forces people to deal with the fear of the unknown. And there are always resistance groups formed within organizations whenever the senior management is trying to implement an organization-wide change. I don't think that HR should be given the responsibility of carrying out any significant changes within the organization or dealing with their outcomes. But I think what HR can do very well is that it knows very well how organizational culture and organizational psychology works. And it can help in that regard in terms of smoothing the process of the change, in terms of making it easier for both the employees and the senior management. And the truth is that the HR, it finds itself in a very difficult position because it's always between the employees and the senior management, so it receives pressure from both sides. But I think in terms of changes being carried out in organizations, HR can really help as the person in the middle, the agent in the middle, to smooth that process of the change gradually being accepted, but also passing on feedback on both sides, in both directions.
Thank you very much. I will proceed now to the second one. According to your own opinion, do you think that HR mostly represents employers' interest or employees in an organization?
That's the main problem of HR, and that's the main reason they've got a bad name for themselves. The other problem with HR is that they're employees also, so they're employed by the employer also. But then they're there to navigate between the employer and the employee, which is a very different role that they're called to play. When, for example, we compare the HR with trade unions. I mean, trade unions are external agencies when HR is an internal type of function, internal department. So often, I think they are seen as taking the side of the employer. Because it's easier for the employees to blame the HR in that respect. Often, I think the HR is there just to implement policies. But I think something that's changing is that the HR didn't used to be so concerned with well-being policies. And these days, generally the well-being and the care for the employees is a major part of the role of the HR in the organization.
Thank you very much. So HR is transforming because the world is changing, and therefore the role of HR is keep changing in order to be able to meet the needs of all stakeholders. Either we're talking about the owners or the employees or the managers or the shareholders. Thank you very much. And let's go to a last one because we don't have time. Usually the technologies used by HR are selected, the technology overall, I will say the technological tools, let's say better, are selected by the organization at the leadership level, manager level, based on already existing package by technology firms. How will HR control in making those choices? So I will rephrase a bit the question. Does HR has a say concerning the adoption of technology within organizations?
I think the HR can have a say in terms of the technology that they will adopt and purchase. As regards as the technology and the technological knowledge that the HR is using. And I mean, who can know better what type of applications and software they need than them? And often the type of software that the HR is using, no other department in the organization is using. So yes, I think they need to have a say, and perhaps that's one of the issues. I think it all starts with training, though. If the HR is better trained in the use of technology, then they will know what softwares they need, and then they can request it and put a business case into the senior management. And I think there are very clear positive outcomes that can come with the adoption of modern technology. And I think it would be rather easy for senior management to actually make sure that the funds are available for such.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So it is important HR position to be taken into more consideration when this kind of maybe decisions should be made within organizations. It is important to have yes, to have their opinion to be taken into more consideration, because HR knows better employees' feelings, needs, and needs of employees are very much important, considering the motivation of employees and their satisfaction within organizations.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So we will conclude now because we have more questions and we don't have time to go through those. I'm sure Dr. Stradis can give some answers later on through the chat. So Dr. Stradis, thank you very much.
I can't hear you anymore.
And we can now proceed. I'm not giving the floor to Dr. Athanasia to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sakal. Thank you, Dr. Efthymiou, for your presentation. Hello, everybody again. Thank you for joining us. We will move forward to our final session for today and for the conference. Mr. Stavrakis will chair the session. Mr. Stavrakis is program leader at Unicaf Federal of the School of Business. Mr. Stavrakis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Athanasia. I would like to welcome all of you to our session 11, the last session of the School of Business and the last session, of course, of this 5-day online Masters Conference that we had. Our first presenter will be Ms. Tisungane Sitima from the University of Zambia. Tisungane, are you online? Could I see you? Could you open the camera? Hello. Tisungane, you're from Malawi. Can you open your microphone, please? Unmute it. Yeah, you can hear me? We cannot hear you yet. Maybe unmute. Yeah, okay. Let's try again. Athanasia, we cannot hear.
Yeah, I think there is a problem with her microphone.
With the microphone.
Ms. Tisungane, could you please check your settings for your microphone, or maybe you have headphones you could use? We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can
Yeah,
hear you, but
now we can hear you.
maybe if you turn on the volume a little bit.
Ella, Tisugane, hi.
Hello.
From Malawi, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will try this. Muli Pwanji.
Tili bwino inu.
Did I say it correctly?
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, and how are you? That's in Chikwea language, correct?
Chichewa.
Okay, Chichewa.
Yes.
All right. Tisugane, could you please share your screen so we can proceed with the presentation?
Okay.
We cannot even see your presentation yet. Do you want us to share your presentation?
Can you see it now?
Let's see. Yeah. We can see some of it. Okay, try to go to presentation mode, a slideshow on top. Okay, great. All right, this is Liane. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much. My name is Tisungane Stima from Malawi, and I'm presenting my thesis entitled Women's Representation in Public Administration Leadership, a case of Malawi Parliament. We'll start with the introduction. Gender equality is a fundamental element of development, emphasizing global frameworks such as UN Sustainable Development Goals, particularly goal number 5, which advocates for gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls. And on the other hand, public administration is a key sector where gender equality can significantly impact governance outcomes. So the research was trying to find out the problem that despite legislative frameworks promoting gender equality in Malawi, the representation of women in public administration remains low, particularly in leadership and decision-making. So the purpose of this study was to examine gender representation in Malawi's public administration sector using secondary data to identify trends, barriers, and opportunities for improvement. And the research was trying to answer the question of what is the existing data and reports with you about gender representation in Malawi's public administration? The second question, what systematic and institutional challenges are highlighted in the research? And the last one is, how can research on the data inform policy to improve gender equity? So looking at the global context, secondary data from UN reports and global studies indicates that women's representation in public administration averages 25 to 30%, with significant variation in population. And the studies also reveals that inclusive governance structures benefit decision-making, equity, and service delivery. Whilst in Malawi context, Malawi adopted Gender Equality Act of 2013, committing to equal opportunities for men and women in public sector. However, secondary data from government reports and NGOs highlight that women remain underrepresented in senior public roles, with cultural norms and institutional barriers as contributing factors. So in the study employs a desk review approach by analyzing secondary data from published reports, government statistics, and also academic literature. The sources of data for the thesis, government publications, which include the annual public sector performance reports, academic articles, and also case studies in Malawi's general policies. And another source is reports from international organizations, which include UN, World Bank, and African Development Bank. Data analysis. In this study, I used content analysis by reviewing and synthesizing findings from diverse sources to identify recurring themes and trends in gender representation. And also comparative analysis, which examined Malawi's performance in relation to regional and global standards. The results from the study. Key statistics from secondary data. Women represent only 28% of senior management positions in Malawi's public administration, as per the 2023 Malawi Public Service Report. And gender disparities are more pronounced in rural-based institutions compared to urban ones. On top of that, wage gaps persist, with women earning 15% less than men for similar roles in the public sector. And looking at historical milestones when it comes to Malawi Parliament, since the return to democratic governance in 1994, women's representation in Malawi Parliament has fluctuated. For example, in 1994, women were only represented by 5.65%. And in 2009, it was when the number increased from 5.65% to 22.28%. And in 2014, the number dropped to 16.6%. And it rose again in 2019 to 20.73%, which still shows that Malawi is lagging behind when it comes to gender equality and the achievement of 50. Now, the key is that while legislative frameworks exist, implementation remains weak, highlighting a gap between policy and practice. And also cultural norms and societal attitudes continue to undermine progress, as evidenced by recurring themes in the report. And the importance of using gender disaggregated data to monitor progress is also evident, but it is underutilized in many government reports. So after comparing them, it shows that in Rwanda, with its aggressive gender quotas, has achieved near parity in public administration, whilst Malawi has never achieved a 50-50 campaign. So Malawi can draw lessons from countries like Rwanda so that they improve in the representation metrics. The summary of the findings. The secondary data that I used underscores persistent gender inequalities in Malawi public administration. Despite a robust policy framework, women's representation remains below global and regional averages. As you can see from the data, since 1994 to 2019, the average is still below 25%, which is very low. The findings also highlight a need for stronger enforcement mechanisms and cultural transformation. Now, the importance of having women in public administration. What are the implications? Improved gender representation can enhance public service delivery and promote equitable governance. So addressing disparities requires a multidimensional approach, targeting both institutional practices and also societal attitudes. Because as I have also mentioned, societal attitudes as factors contribute to the achievement of gender equality. These are some interventions and legal frameworks that are in Malawi. Malawi has enacted several laws to promote gender equality, such as the Gender Equality Act in 2013 and the Prevention of Domestic Violence Act in 2006. There's also National Gender Policy, which aims to integrate gender equality across all sectors of governance. And also some quota systems have been introduced, but implementation remains weak. So now the study recommends that to enforce policy, there is need to strengthen the enforcement of Gender Equality Act by establishing monitoring bodies with the power to hold institutions accountable. And when it comes to capacity building, there's a need to invest in leadership development programs for women to prepare them for senior roles. And under cultural awareness, there's need to engage communities through advocacy programs to challenge and the but clear problems that hinder women's participation in leadership. And the need for data-driven decision making. There is a need for regularly publishing of gender disaggregated data in public sector employment to track progress and identify areas needing intervention. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much. This one, let's see, now we can open the question and answer session. Let's wait and see. I don't have any questions yet. Let me ask you one question, this one. In your opinion, what are the main barriers to this women's representation in the public administration leadership in Malawi? And do you have any data on how do you compare it with the international trends?
The main barrier to gender representation in the parliament is culture. But whenever the interventions are coming here in Malawi, talking about gender equality, people say this is the Western culture. We cannot accept that. So because people think gender equality for Western culture, it becomes difficult for the people to adopt the new strategies, the new interventions that are coming in.
Disungane, we cannot hear you very, very clearly. Can you get close to the microphone if it's possible?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now it's better, yeah. Sorry.
Yes, so I was saying the main problem that we are having is culture. In terms of whenever an intervention is coming to Malawi, let's say we want to achieve gender equality, bringing in interventions to achieve gender equality, people say gender equality is Western culture, so we cannot adopt Western culture here in Malawi because we are Africans. So that hinders any developmental activity pertaining to gender.
Okay, thank you very kindly. I will have another question for you. How do you think the representation of women in Malawi's parliament influence the policy making and the government outcomes in your country?
Okay, due to a little number of women representing their fellow women in the parliament, it becomes difficult for policies which are addressing the needs of women to be presented and also to be enacted. So it becomes very difficult for women to have their needs met just because their representation is very low.
Okay, thank you very much. We don't seem to have any more questions. So I think we will thank you for your presentation. And you can close your presentation and we'll proceed with our second presenter of the day, which is our student from East of London University, Okochukwu Joy. Did I pronounce it correct, Okochukwu?
Yes,
Thank you.
Joy.
Thank you very kindly.
Yeah.
You are from Nigeria?
Yes, I'm from Nigeria.
Excellent. Okochukwu, could you, yes, thank you very kindly. I was going to ask you to share our screen and you can go on slideshow, please. Okochukwu will be presenting the effect of job satisfaction on the employee and the organizational performance. Thank you very much. You can proceed with your presentation, Okochukwu.
Confirm it's on slideshow now. Are you seeing?
I think not. Could you try again?
I think it is on the it was
It
on the
is?
slideshow, but it was not on the first slide.
Okay, yes, you are not on the first slide.
Okay, I'll do that again. Confirm it's on slideshow now?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Now it's okay.
Okay, I proceed. My name is Engineer Okochukwu Joy from Nigeria, study with University of East London. And my topic is the effect of job satisfaction on employee and organizational performance with a focus on engineers. Okay, my study overview, that is introduction. The aim of my research is to summarize the factors that affect job satisfaction on the performance of employees in the manufacturing sector, especially in Nigeria, and its influence on organizational performance. The objective, okay, from my research, I saw that various researchers have researched about the generic factors that affect job satisfaction, the roles that have the higher job satisfaction, and okay, how job satisfaction influences individual performance. Hence, the focus of my research is to establish the relationship between job satisfaction and employees' role. To what extent are engineers satisfied and what motivates them the most, and to what extent do individual performance affect the company performance? The rationale of this study is due to the fact that we have experienced a high level of engineers leaving the organization for a greener pasture recently. The methodology is basically on qualitative and quantitative approach, and basically on secondary data from different researchers. And my analysis was done with Excel sheet. Then my methodology is based on the question for the study, 3 questions for the study, and I was able to view like approximately 112 articles, with 75% of the articles was considered as relevant. Okay, impact of different job factors on job satisfaction. This was from Masamud in 2011. He did a survey to know which of the job factors or job conditions that satisfy the employee most. And he did it with engineers in pharmaceutical sectors. And his study revealed that we have 62% which are satisfied most based on work condition, followed by pay promotion. I also referred to the study of Rifayas Islam in 2012. He considered 9 factors, and after her survey, she found that the provision and condition of leave and reward and future opportunities are the top that satisfies employee, which is also in line with the previous researcher I cited. Talking about job function versus satisfaction, Roman Duda in 2014 did a study to know the roles that have the higher job satisfaction, and he considered 12 roles. And among those 12 roles, we have engineers at bottom 2, that is 64%, and they are at bottom 2. And he did this study with industry that have major number of engineers. Then we'll talk about job satisfaction versus job title, just like the previous researcher I cited. This was the result from Cargill State of Data Science and Machine Learning Survey, which was conducted in August 2017 So the study was based on dissatisfaction and satisfaction. And with this study, we found out that field engineers are also ranking the top bottom on the dissatisfaction level, meaning that out of 16 roles considered, we have field engineers at the bottom third. Now, we'll talk about training versus performance. This was a study of, in 2020, Osisioma and Aldu. And we look at the graph, you can find out that, performance is directly proportional to the training. And the critical analysis shows that the higher the training of employee, especially on the job, the higher the employee performance. And this agrees with Hesberg two-factor theory of job satisfaction. A critical analysis of data showed that employees were not satisfied with the cross-functional development and succession strategy, which means that the moment the trained employee leaves the organization, there will be a drop in performance until further upskilling is done with the existing employees. And this, of course, leaves gap in the business. Job satisfaction versus performance, also with Arena in 2021, he did a study with engineers in IT industry, and he considered different job condition and also their performance level. And if you look at it, he found out that the study revealed that for IT industry, when there is favorable work condition, when it is dynamic, they tend to work more, collaborate more, and be team-spirited, and this will increase the overall performance of the individual and also of the organization. So with this study, we found out that the highest one is the team spirit and the work condition, which improve the quality of work of the employee, and in return increase the performance and overall performance of the organization. My findings based on the three research questions, which number one is, what are the factors that impact more on the employees that work in industrial function? Citing the referrals and Masamod that I mentioned earlier, even Roman, it was clear that job satisfaction factors are based on the function of the employees. The finding agrees with Angelica and Norbert finding in 2018 and the Maslow hierarchy theories need. The following are the factors that motivates engineer in manufacturing sector, which is the reward and compensation system and clarity of the future opportunity, work procedure and process, team spirits, and working condition, which has to do with work-life balance, most especially. Number two is what is the effect of job satisfaction on the performance of employee in a manufacturing company. Based on the study of Arena and Osisioma, there is a positive effect of job satisfaction on employee performance. That is, job satisfaction is directly proportional to the individual performance. Then the third one is how does individual performance contribute to organizational operational performance in a manufacturing company? When talented and competent employees are motivated, their individual performance increases. Hence, the higher the number of employees with high performance, the greater percentage impact on the organizational performance. In conclusion, job satisfaction factor depend on the function of the employee. There is no direct impact of individual job satisfaction on the organizational performance. However, the higher the number of employees with the high performance, the more tendency for an organization to achieve the objective and set goals. My research finding also agree with Hesberg two-factor theory of job satisfaction, which he explains that the factor for dissatisfaction are the hygiene factor, while the factor for satisfaction are the motivator. However, we also established from the researcher that for satisfaction to occur, we have to deal with the hygiene factor, which are dissatisfaction factor, to create environment for the employee to be satisfied. This also agrees with Maslow hierarchy of need theory, as you can see on the triangle pyramid. My research also agrees with the position that dissatisfied employees are more likely to seek opportunities elsewhere. Companies that cannot develop skills and knowledge of the people are usually challenged. This research will enable organizations to be more strategic and proactive in motivating their talented employees, retaining them, and reducing the employee turnover. Keynotes, that is the summary. Indeed, a satisfied employee gives rise to happy employer. Individual performance cannot be attained without job satisfaction, and job satisfaction cannot be possible without the corresponding motivation from the organization. Organizations can achieve incomparable success when they respect the connection between individual training, upskilling on the job, and organization performance. And based on my research, I summarize the 8 steps to high organization performance as below: recruitment of the right employees, identification of growth paths, training and upskilling on the job, identification and implementation of the relevant motivation factor, reward and compensation. Then this will lead to individual performance. Then increase in number of high-performing employees will lead to high organizational performance. Recommendation. Number 1 and big recommendation is job grading and compensation for engineers. And I highlight that this has to be on the level of the education, certification, and job skills and the risk involved. This recommendation was also based on the experience, because during the coronavirus and a lot of time, the engineers are always in the field, while some of the support functions are working either from home or on proxy. The next one is the motivation factor engagement, annual specific competent assessment, reward and compensation analysis, establish, communicate, and implement strategic succession plan, annual performance correlation, and create conducive environment for growth of the employee. Recommendation for official studies. For official studies, I strongly recommend that a study with primary data involving minimum of 4 manufacturing companies in Nigeria with strict focus on engineering to understand their motivator. And this was based on the limitation I had, because I used basically the secondary data, none of the primary data. So I was not able to do survey with organization to get real results. Specific studies should be carried out to ascertain why engineers are one of the least satisfied in an industry despite their specific skills. Thank you very much. And I cited some references that was used for this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very kindly, Okechukwu, for this very insightful presentation. We now move on to the question and answer session. We already have a question from one of our students. Yeah. In your opinion, Okechukwu, is satisfaction through training, which leads to high performance, a welcome idea by most manufacturing companies?
You said, come again with the question.
Is in your opinion, is satisfaction through training, which leads to high performance, a welcome idea by most manufacturing companies?
I cited the study of one of my researchers, which he considered with 2 breweries, Nigeria breweries in Nigeria, 2 breweries companies in Nigeria, which is what he cited. But I also can relate to the experience, because I also am an engineer working in a manufacturing company, a cement company in Nigeria, which also some of my experience shows that, you know, sometimes we experience that people leave the organization, and before we can replace it up to 1 year, we are still looking for a substantial replacement of engineers. So it's also based on my own experience. So this can look at to a high proportion of manufacturing companies in Nigeria.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
We have another question. Has there been an expressed fear of senior managers training junior ones to protect their position? And how does this contribute to companies' poor performance?
Okay, this my research did not cover it, but I can say based on experience and based on my role as a general person in organization, yes, such do exist, but it's actually based on individuals. Some managers, based on their mindset, believe that if they impart the knowledge on their subordinates and have a substantial succession planning, then the company might decide to leave them, or they may decide to so that their successor is better. So because of this, they don't really get a substantial successor. They can leave 3 people and they kept on changing it so that they can retain their job. On the other hand, there are still some managers that are very objective and they are very interested in developing individuals. So those managers, they will train people and they will look for a higher position and they will leave and they will hand over that this person can do it. So this is based on individual mindset.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. We have another question. Could we say that the most important employee motivation is remuneration, since individual improvements led to employees seeking other employments after knowledge is achieved by employees?
Very good. So like this, yes, because the essence why employee work is to make profit. So I will say yes, remuneration is one of the key and the best, especially for engineers, because mostly in manufacturing companies, engineers are always in the field. They're exposed to a lot of risk. Like I mentioned during the coronavirus, a lot of people were working from home for 1 year, 2 years, even now working on hybrid, but engineers are always in the field, even during weekend and public holiday. So the greatest thing is the remuneration that can cover for that part that are working too much. And again, apart from the remuneration, that is the second one, working condition. When you are giving individuals money, if the money is too much, but the working condition is not comfortable and conducive for the person's health, if the person dies, how is he going to spend the money? So these two can go, both the remuneration and favorable working condition and opportunity for growth.
Thank you very kindly. We have a few more minutes and no other questions. I will throw in a question for you there. What role do you think does leadership and management style play in enhancing or diminishing job satisfaction levels within an organization?
It's very high to a great extent because satisfaction starts from the leadership and management style. So when we talk about satisfaction, the people at the shop floor, the middle managers cannot do anything without the leadership bringing it and making policies to support that. So basically, most times they cannot do something against the policy. So the policy from the leadership and management should be put in place, strategic enough to enable flexibility and also to enable like skip level interview whereby employee can go ahead to actually talk to the human resources on what they want, when if their N+1, that is their direct supervisor, is not granting it. There should be that flexibility and there should be that policy to allow that, because if that policy is in place, the employee will understand that at least they are very covered, they are secured to actually make their point and their need known, even to the HR director.
Thank you, Gochuku. And we've got a few minutes to throw another question in there, a bit tricky one now. Are there any potential trade-offs or risks of organizations when they are prioritizing this employee satisfaction, and how can it be managed? Hello, Gochuku. Can you hear us? We lost you for a minute.
Yes, I'm back now.
Okay.
Come with that question again.
All right, I will repeat it. Are there any potential trade-offs or risks for organizations when they are prioritizing employee satisfaction, and how can it be managed?
Yes, everything have risk, everything have threat, because I know that when employees are satisfied, for them to make employee to be satisfied, like I said, what satisfied one person cannot be what satisfy another. Like now, my research has established that satisfaction are based on roles. And also, if you go down, you find out that satisfaction by Herzberg theory also based on individual. So this thing for organization to take time to actually do this, it has to take commitment, and it's a very risk factor because it has to take time. There is time there, and there is also the aspect of finance involved, because if you have plenty too much individual having different job satisfaction and it has to now come with a lot of profit, that is where the organization have to be strategic to apply a balance in doing this. Like now, when you come to organization, talking about everybody is important. But for manufacturing, where you have skilled engineers, which when you want to replace them, it's hard for you to replace them. I think they should focus on them and make them priority. Because right now, I'm telling you, there are 2 key roles in my organization that has not been able to be replaced for like 2 years, because we tried in-house, we didn't get, we tried outside, maybe the person came and couldn't stay. And that role, we are still managing it up to now. So it's just a personal experience. So you have to devise what role, what is the key and core objective of the organization, what role takes the priority, and how can we make sure that we retain these people for a long time so that we can have a substantive successor for that role, so that we cannot leave it gap for a long time. So that is where I'm talking about engineers in manufacturing company.
Thank you, Kochiko. We have just 1 minute for the last question, just came in now. Based on my experience as a project manager working with engineers in Nigeria, how can you bridge the knowledge gap among civil engineers and roads construction?
Yeah, this is out of my research, but I must say that there is what is called impacting training, both on the job and in-house. And for you to do this, you have to partially identify what is the gap. Engineers in road construction, they will maybe the gap I have as an engineer in road construction is not the same gap another person have. And that is why I talk about gap analysis based on specific competence. I mentioned it in my summary. Based on the specific competence you are looking for, you perform the gap analysis. After the gap analysis, then you can now identify how to close the gap, which involves both training in the house and training on the job. And this will actually boost the competence of the person.
Okay, we ran out of time. Thank you very much, Okochukwu, for your insightful presentation and the question and answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will now move to our last but not least presenter.
I take down my sharing.
Yeah, you can switch off your camera, Okochukwu.
Okay.
Thank you very kindly. Our last but not least presenter, Miss Paula Janice Jacqueline Forrest from the beautiful island of Jamaica. Are you online, Paula?
Yes, I am.
There you are.
Thank you very much.
Nice. I know you had to wake up very early today to come here to this presentation, right?
Yes.
You probably be like 6:30, 6:40 in the morning over there?
Yes, it is.
All right, great. All right. You can just move your camera slightly down if it's possible. Great. Can you share your presentation, please?
Sure.
Which name do you prefer me to call you with? Paula, Janice, or Jacqueline?
Paula. I'm fine with
Okay.
Paula.
I can imagine when your mom was to call you, she would call you Paula, Janice, Jacqueline. All right, Paula. All right. Paula is going to talk today. She's going to present us the strategies used by small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in Jamaica to cope with these globalization challenges. You're free to go. Go ahead, Paula.
Thank you so much. Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. Today, I'm presenting on the finding from my research on the strategies used by Jamaican SMEs to cope with the challenges of globalization. Here's a quick overview of the topics I will be covering: a background on the Jamaican economy, the objectives of my research, the method used, key findings on the impact of globalization, and concluding with opportunities for growth and policy recommendations. Jamaica is a small economy with a GDP of US 19.4 billion as at 2023, as stated by World Bank 2023. While the economy grew by a solid 2% in 2023, overall, the Jamaican economy has experienced slow growth over several decades. One of the reasons is because there has been a consistent trade deficit, as shown in Figure 1. In 2022 and 2023, Imports total over 5 billion, while exports were only around 2 billion. This led to a trade deficit of over $4 billion. This widening trade deficit strains Jamaica's economy and highlights the urgent need to support local SMEs in businesses in competing globally. Without effective action, this imbalance will continue to hinder national growth and limit the opportunities for Jamaican industries. Over the last 5 decades, Jamaica has evolved into a service-oriented economy with key contributions from sectors like tourism, financial services, and distributive trade. However, manufacturing remains important, contributing to 5.5% of GDP and generating over $961 million in export earning as of 2022. However, manufacturing share of GDP has declined from a peak of 21.5% in 1986 to a steady 8.5% over the past decade, as shown in Figure 1. This context highlights why it is vitally important to look at effective strategies for Jamaican companies to compete in the global market and to compete and to contribute to rectifying the trade imbalance. The purpose of this study is to explore the performance and strategies of the Jamaican SMEs in the manufacturing sector in response to globalization challenges. In line with this, the aim of this study was to examine the literature on strategies undertaken by Jamaican SMEs within the manufacturing sector to survive the effects of globalization. The study had 3 specific objectives. First, to assess the existing literature on the impact of globalization on the Jamaican manufacturing sector over the last decade. Second, to conduct a case study to analyze the opportunities and challenges Jamaican SMEs face due to globalization and the strategies they use to address these challenges. Finally, the research aimed to develop recommendations to strengthen the performance of Jamaican SMEs in the manufacturing sector. This study used a qualitative descriptive approach to identify and provide evidence in relation to the current state and future directions of Jamaican manufacturing sector. This method allowed for an in-depth exploration of the topic by interpreting and addressing the data rather than relying on statistical or numerical analysis. The study relied on secondary data analysis using sectoral data from a combination of local and international organizations. This included data from the World Bank, which provides global economic and development data. However, the majority of the information came from local sources, such as the Planning Institute of Jamaica, which offers statistics on Jamaica's economic and social conditions, and the Jamaica Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, which supplied data on the country's industrial and economic sector. This approach allowed for a detailed understanding of the current state and the potential future direction for the sector. The research showed that globalization has led to fluctuating trends in several economic indicators. First, GDP contribution from SMEs in the manufacturing sector has shown inconsistent growth. Second, employment has been volatile over the last several decades. Globalization led to job losses in some areas due to global competition. However, some areas have seen growth in employment, particularly in the skilled positions. Finally, export levels have fluctuated due to changing global demand, competition, and currency rates. Key influencing factors of the economy were trade liberalization and competitiveness. This first led to new markets being opened for Jamaica. However, this also means that there's a lot more competition from large international firms. Jamaican SMEs struggle with high production costs and quality standards in comparison to global competitors. Jamaican SMEs have used several strategies to adapt to globalization, falling into 4 categories. First, product and market diversification has been used to reduce reliance on a single product or market. Second, SMEs focus on improving product quality to meet global standards. And third, they use modern technology to boost productivity. Finally, export promotion is used by SMEs to promote the unique aspect of the Jamaican products to tap into the global markets. Still, the research identifies 3 main set of challenges. One of the main challenges is limited access to finance, which restricts SMEs' growth. Next, a lack of skilled labor makes it challenging to meet global demands. Additionally, complex regulations add to operational difficulties and increase cost. Nevertheless, there are significant growth opportunities for Jamaican SMEs in the manufacturing sector. First, SMEs can continue to expand their product line to reach broader markets. Second, quality standards still needs to be improved to help SMEs compete internationally. Additionally, including more technology can drive productivity and efficiency. Fourth, tapping into the global market by promoting brand Jamaica and partnering strategically to access new markets. Markets can be expanded also by innovating in products and processes. Additionally, there is the opportunity for greater market access through strategic partnerships and export initiatives. In conclusion, Jamaica has the potential to strengthen its position in the global manufacturing landscape. Specifically, the country has strong potential for growth. Jamaica has a promising opportunity to position itself as a competitive player in the global manufacturing landscape, leveraging its strategic location and emerging capabilities. Second, to increase global competitive, the sector needs continuous improvement in productivity, quality standards, and cost efficiency, positioning Jamaica's products more favorably on the world stage. Third, by strengthening the manufacturing sector, Jamaica can drive inclusive economic growth, creating jobs and supporting local communities while reducing a reliance on imports. Policy recommendations. Finally, to enhance competitiveness and drive inclusive economic growth, collaboration among policymakers, industry stakeholders, and researchers are essential. Thus, there are 4 general recommendations, beginning with introducing and strengthening policies to support SME competitiveness. Second, these policies can also be directed at working to reduce the cost of productive inputs. Third, increasing access to finance for SMEs is vital for driving competitiveness. Finally, policies that support the investment in skills development for the workforce will also make Jamaica's manufacturing industry more competitive globally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paula, for this nice presentation. Let's move to our question and answer session. See if we have any questions. No questions arise. Here we have one. Being a small economy, do you feel Jamaica has the capacity to invest on facilities to train for competitiveness to meet the global demands?
Well, because we have seen, thank you for that question, because we have seen this deficit that we are facing, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce have launched a new pilot program to instigate funding for training for skills through the Development Corporation of Jamaica and the Heart Institute to train persons to further invest into the sector because they see that there's a need for it. So
Okay,
while
thank
there's
you.
not enough funding, the government is making an effort to actually provide training skills, even through the heart, even if it's free to persons, so that they can upskill persons.
Yeah, thank you, Paula. Athanasia, I have a question. Why do I see Unicaf reverse in my bag? It looked like the ambulance. Okay.
I say it normally, actually. I don't see it reversed.
All right. I know, I'm reversed. No problem. It's the last session anyway, so we have to give it a little bit more relaxed tone. Out of curiosity, Paula, besides tourism that I know Jamaica is very large on tourism, that we know, in which line of manufacturing do businesses are involved over there in Jamaica?
They're involved in agro-processing.
Okay.
Yes. So the main thing is about it's agro-processing.
Agriculture,
That's where
okay.
they're pushing now for us to do more agro-processing and get the quality products that Jamaica has and is known for out on the world market.
Thank you, dear. It seems that no other questions. We have some time. I will throw in a couple of questions for you. What is the role of the government, the policy of the government, and these international partnerships play in supporting the Jamaican SMEs into these globalization pressures?
Well, because the government has seen that Jamaica can only grow if we export more. The Ministry of Industry and Commerce have launched a drive to push Jamaican SMEs to export more. So what they're doing is reaching out to a whole lot of manufacturing companies and state that once you have something that can be placed on the world market, do it. We have different oils, different products, even the Jamaican chocolate. Because it is known, we have it in Jamaica. We have gotten so accustomed to the quality that we have. A lot of persons know how to do it, and they didn't even think about exporting it as much. So the government is putting in funds and pushing a drive for us to export more to the global market.
Okay, great. We have another question. Could you please expand on your point regarding the National Housing Trust?
Okay, what I'm recommending in terms of financing, one of my key recommendations from the research is that more persons, just like the structure that we have at the Jamaican National Housing Trust, is that something like that is put in place by the government for SMEs to provide funding through the government so that persons right now, I work in what I am so passionate about, providing funding and helping the SMEs to grow because I'm an SME banker. And I find that a lot of SMEs come to us and we can't help them because they have to be operating for at least 2 years to be able to even access funding through the financial institution, even though the Development Bank of Jamaica says that they provide funding through us for them, but they can't access it. So in something like that, where they have a structure where at the National Housing Trust, where anyone can access funding to purchase a house just as long as you are contributing for at least 52 weeks. What that kind of structure would enable is that a company through the government, an SME company, once there is a specific criteria that they meet, then they can access even as little as $500,000 or $1 million if they meet specific criteria, because sometimes they need as little as that to push the business, to buy products, but they're unable to access it.
Thank you, Paula. We have a couple of more questions. We have a couple of minutes. What do you think is the future of the bauxite mining sector in Jamaica?
Well, it is a bit tricky now based on the fact that what is happening on the global stage, because even just the other day, it was stopped for a little bit because the persons who were a part of it were not able to access payments. But just as long as we continue to replenish what we're taking out, I think that there is growth for the industry.
Thank you, Paula. We've got time for another 2 questions, probably. Apart from the government fundings, are there any other incentives for SMEs?
That is what the government is trying. So what they have done, they've had trade missions to different areas worldwide, where they're opening up taking persons on trade missions to show them that there are other opportunities. There are other opportunities out there that they can access. So by actually taking SMEs and showing them that there are opportunities for them in the global market, then that will basically help them to actually want to produce and to know that if I produce, then there is a market for my products.
Thank you, Paula. The last question. Is the government doing enough to open to the world service instead of product exports to recover from the deteriorating balance of trade?
Could you repeat for me, please?
Yes. Is the government doing enough to open to the world service instead of product exports to recover from the deteriorating balance of trade?
I think there could be a whole lot more that can be done. And that's why they are seeing there hasn't been much studies on the manufacturing industry and the industry in general. However, they are seeing that there is a need for us to export more, because with this imbalance, the country cannot grow. So I think that it is hitting home to the government that this needs to be done. So that's why the Ministry of Industry and Commerce have started this drive, because they're realizing that Jamaica cannot grow unless we are putting out more, we're exporting more. Because we have started to do a whole lot of housing development instead of focusing on growing more and manufacturing more. They're seeing that, okay, who are the people? How can we afford to buy these houses that they're building if we're not making money, if the country is not generating enough income?
Thank you, Paula. I think we could just steal a minute more from our presentation, already past 2 minutes, to throw in the last question. How will the government allocate funding to push agro-processing, for example, medium-sized farmers?
Well, as with in terms of the National Housing Trust, in terms of if the government took on, because right now, while we get international funding and we the bank access it through the Development Bank of Jamaica, however, they're not doing that real assessment in terms of providing these SMEs with the funding. If there's a specific department at the government for SMEs to allocate these funding, then they will look at specific criteria where, based on how long they've been in operations, in terms of what exactly they're doing, how much they need. And once we have those particular criteria met, and in terms of how long they're operating, what they're doing, their levels, and so forth, then those funding, when they have go in and do a needs analysis on these businesses, then they can do an assessment and say, okay, this is how we're going to help you based on what you're doing, based on what is needed on the world market, based on the income that can be generated from this business in terms of profitability. This is how we're going to allocate funding.
Thank you very, very much, Paula. I think, unfortunately, we have no more time. We have to end this session here. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you so much.
Have a good morning over there.
Thank you.
To the land of calypso and reggae music.
Yeah. And reggae.
Right into the beach. All right. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you.
This is probably our last presenter, and I will give the floor back to Athanasia to close this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stavrakis. Thank you, everybody, for participating in our last session. Now we have again Dr. Saka. Dr. Saka will share with us the closing remarks of the day. Dr. Saka, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Athanasia. Dear beloved colleagues, students and participants, as we conclude the business school sessions and the second Unicaf Masters Conference, I would like to take a moment to reflect on the remarkable success of this event. This conference has provided us with an invaluable platform to give, but also to receive knowledge, insights, and ideas. This indicates the dedication to conceptual and intellectual curiosity that should define all academic communities of today. I have seen some very impressive presentations today, so well done, students. I have also heard thoughtful and articulate responses to the questions posed to the presenters. So again, well done, students. We're so happy to be part of your learning journey. Let's move now to some words of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who contributed to making this conference a success, to the organizers, plenary speakers, session chairs, and presenters. Your efforts and expertise have been instrumental in ensuring the high standards of this event. In particular, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Ms. Cornelia Nicolaou, whose leadership and commitment have been very important to the success of the business school sessions in specific. I would like also to deeply grateful to the session chairs, including Ms. Malvina Yannick and Mr. Marios Stavrakis for their support and professional contributions. Thank you so much. A special note of appreciation also goes to our plenary presenter, Dr. Stratis Efthymiou. Lastly, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to you, our students. You are the heart of our academic community, and it is your growth and your success that inspire us every day. And together, we continue to advance the boundaries of knowledge and excellence. Until the next time, stay strong and continue gaining as much knowledge as you can, because knowledge is your power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saka. And now, finally, let me give the floor to Dr. Elena Papadopoulou. Dr. Papadopoulou is the Pro-Vice Chancellor Teaching and Learning at Unicaf Federal. Dr. Papadopoulou will conclude the conference. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Gavadia, for the introduction. And of course, thank you to everybody for being still here with us after 5 days. So I would like to do the official closing. I will try to provide some information. Okay, but before we start, I would like to say that as we reach the conclusion of the second annual Unicaf Masters Conference, I am honored to have the opportunity to reflect on this remarkable journey we have shared over the past 5 days. It has been an inspiring experience, full of rich academic dialogue, innovative research, and of course, a profound spirit of collaboration. So thank you very much for that. This conference has brought together an extraordinary assembly of voices and ideas with more than 60 panelists representing 22 different countries. The diversity and depth of expertise showcased have been truly remarkable. And we have also had the privilege of engaging with a global audience of over 3,500 attendees from an astounding 134 countries, reaffirming the universal appeal and significance of the topics we have discussed. I will not provide a very detailed outline of the conference, but I should say that our conference program featured 35 exceptional presentations alongside 8 plenary discussions and 1 workshop, all showcasing the diversity of thought, rigor of research, and creativity of our master's students. Together, we explored an array of critical and interdisciplinary topics spanning from education, law, criminology, psychology, health sciences, sustainability, energy management, and data sciences, to name just a few. Over the course of this week, we delved into topics such as the impact of leadership on education systems, explored innovative methods in healthcare sustainability, and examined pressing issues in law and human rights. We were captivated by plenary discussions addressing critical matters such as mentorship for organizational development and the fascinating intersection of authorship and AI creativity. We've also learned about real-world applications, including the use of machine learning in sustainability and mindfulness in educational settings, which sparked engaging discussions and about how academia can impact broader societal change. Each of these contributions affirms the central role of research and innovation in driving progress within and beyond our communities. They highlight the transformative potential of higher education, which lies not only in knowledge creation, but also in addressing societal changes and promoting inclusive development. I would like to particularly commend our master students. Their work underscores the importance of academic inquiry in fostering leadership, critical thinking, and meaningful impact, as also said by Dr. Sakavrondi. As we close, I encourage you to carry forward the connections, collaborations, and insights gained here. Let us continue to challenge boundaries and inspire one another in our academic and professional journeys. Finally, thank you for making this conference a resounding success. Together, we have celebrated the power of knowledge and the collective potential of our academic community. I look forward to seeing how these ideas take shape and influence our fields in the years to come. Before proceeding with further announcements, I would like to address all our students and say that we will continue to support you through your studies, sharing advice, knowledge, and guidance. It is a true privilege to be a part of this research community. And over the next few years, I hope that together we can build stronger connections as a team and have possibly a face-to-face conference as well. Further to that, we are aiming at enhancing the provision, of course, of workshops, research groups, trainings, and skills development short courses that build on our student development plan and are fundamental for the construction of an academic profile of our students. I would like to inform you that we will announce the best oral presentation per school during the award ceremony that will be held on Tuesday, December 2nd. You will receive more information regarding this event via email within the next few days, along with the relevant links that you can join. The students who have attended the conference as visitors are, of course, encouraged to present their research in their peers and the faculty at the next year's conference. So await for the call to come out in a few months. On behalf of the chairing committee, allow me to express my deepest gratitude to the speakers, moderators, and panelists who have challenged our thinking and enriched our perspectives. I also extend heartfelt thanks to the organizing committee, the scientific committee, and everyone who worked tirelessly to make this event possible, and more specifically to Dr. Athanasia Eleni Kavadia, who had the oversight of the whole conference and ensured that we had 5 enjoyable days full of rich academic dialogue. Thank you all. I now declare the conference officially closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Papadopoulou. Thank you all for joining this year's conference. We look forward to see you again next year on the UMC 2025. Thank you for your participation and have a great afternoon.